Professor Raaz adjusted his multi-lens optics as 28 students from 15 diverse species settled into the Grand Hall. The Galactic Coalition Academy's interspecies combat theory class was always in high demand, especially when practical exercises were involved. Today, Cantor announced, his glimmering tentacles pulsating with energy. "We have a special guest today, Commander Lena Drake of the Earth Defense Corps." A ripple of murmurs swept through the room. Humans had been part of the Intergalactic Alliance for barely 2 decades, and most species still viewed them with a mixture of intrigue and skepticism. Earth was known as a survivalist world, a place where the toughest thrived against all odds. Commander Drake stepped forward, her slim frame drawing curious and doubtful glances from the towering Krez and the broad-shouldered brown species. At just 168 centimeters tall, she was among the smallest in the chamber. "Thank you, Professor," Drake said with a confident smile, her sharp teeth visible. "Today, I'll be demonstrating basic unarmed combat techniques used by all human soldiers." A skeptical voice came from the Zephyri student seated near the front. "Excuse me, Commander, but how relevant can hand-to-hand combat be in the era of energy disruptors and plasma weapons? Our species abandoned physical fighting long ago." Drake nodded respectfully. "Technology is useful, but it can fail when advanced systems malfunction or environments interfere with energy weapons. Physical combat skills become essential." A Shinter student raised a question. "Surely, specialists handle these rare situations?" "Every human soldier trains in these techniques," Drake replied. "What you'll see is standard, nothing advanced." Professor Cantor gestured toward 3 combat simulators calibrated to mimic a mid-tier brown fighter's strength and speed. Drake shed her outer armor and assumed a relaxed stance. "Initiate training sequence." The hall fell silent as Drake moved with astonishing speed and precision. Using leverage rather than brute force, she threw the first simulator into the second and disarmed the third with a joint lock that would cripple most biological beings. Within 15 seconds, all 3 simulators were disabled. "That," Drake explained calmly, "is basic defense, Professor." Cantor quickly adjusted the simulator settings. "Now, let's increase the difficulty." What followed stunned everyone further. Drake became a whirlwind of calculated strikes, targeting weak points with ruthless accuracy. Nerve clusters, joints, sensory modules, even with their upgraded defensive programming. The simulators fell quickly. "These moves prioritize efficiency over power," Drake said, breathing evenly. "Humans aren't the strongest physically, so we develop techniques effective against any opponent, regardless of size." A trembling Paxian raised a tentacle. "Commander, you called these basic techniques. What would advanced combat look like?" Drake smiled mysteriously. "That's classified." After class, Cantor reviewed the session data. The emotional monitors showed universal shock even among the most predatory species. Quietly, he accessed the Coalition's threat assessment protocol. The computer took several seconds before recommending an urgent reclassification. Humans upgraded from developing survivalists to Class 1 apex predators. Their unique blend of technology and innate combat skill warranted special diplomatic and security measures. Cantor stared at the paused image of Commander Drake, still smiling after dismantling the simulators with terrifying efficiency. "Those were their basic moves," he whispered to himself, tentacles trembling with a mix of respect and unease. "May the stars have mercy if they ever unleash their advanced techniques." The Grand Hall of the Galactic Coalition Academy thrummed with energy. 30 students from 15 different species filled the amphitheater, their varied forms casting an intricate mosaic of shapes and colors. Tentacles, feathers, scales, and metallic limbs intertwined in excited chatter. At the center, Professor Raaz adjusted his multi-lens optics, eyes scanning the crowd with anticipation. "This is no ordinary class," Cantor muttered to himself. "Today, we meet the first human combat instructor." The door slid open and Commander Lena Drake stepped inside. At 168 centimeters, she was smaller than most present, her compact form a stark contrast to the towering Krez and hulking brown students. Yet her confident stride and sharp eyes demanded attention. A murmur rippled through the hall. Humans were new to the coalition, known only for their resilience on a harsh homeworld and their rapid technological adaptation. "Welcome, Commander Drake," Cantor announced, tentacles shimmering. "The floor is yours." Drake smiled and nodded, drawing herself up. "Thank you, Professor. I understand there's skepticism about physical combat in this era. Many species rely on neurological disruptors or energy weapons. But technology can fail. When it does, unarmed skills become vital." She looked around the room. "Today, I'll demonstrate the fundamentals every human soldier learns." A Zephyri student raised a slender limb. "Commander, why bother with primitive methods when your tech is so advanced?" Drake's eyes were steady. "Because survival depends on adaptability." She stepped to the center as 3 combat simulators powered on, calibrated to mid-level brown combatant strength. Drake shed her jacket and assumed a relaxed stance. "Begin sequence." In an instant, she moved, swift and precise, using the simulator's momentum against them. The first crashed into the second, while Drake flipped the third into a disabling joint lock. In under 15 seconds, all 3 lay motionless. The room fell silent. Disbelief etched on every face. "Those were basic defensive techniques," Drake said evenly. "Leverage and precision over brute force. Humans rank mid-range in strength, so our methods focus on efficiency." Whispers spread. The towering brown exchanged looks of doubt and awe. "Basic," muttered a Krez student. Drake's smile tightened. "Let me show you offensive moves next." Professor Cantor quickly adjusted the simulator settings, raising difficulty. The room buzzed with renewed anticipation. Drake took a deep breath and readied herself. "Prepare for offensive sequence." Her movements became a blur, fluid and ruthless, targeting weak points with pinpoint accuracy. She disabled the simulators in seconds, joint locks, nerve strikes, and pressure points, each attack methodical and efficient. Gasps echoed through the hall. Even the predatory Krez showed unease. A Paxian student raised a trembling appendage. "Commander, if those were basic skills, what do advanced techniques look like?" Drake smiled, lips tight. "That, I'm afraid, is classified." As the class ended, Professor Cantor replayed the neural feedback monitors. The data was clear: shock, fear, and awe rippled universally across species, even the most hardened warriors. He turned to the Academy's AI terminal. "Access Galactic Coalition threat protocols. Update classification for the human species based on combat performance today." The AI processed silently. Moments later, it responded. "Recommendation: upgrade humans from Class 3 developing species to Class 1 apex predators. Note: combine." This with diplomatic protocol revision. Cantor's tentacles twitched nervously. Word of the demonstration spread quickly throughout the Academy. Halls buzzed with whispered debates about the mysterious human warrior's skills. Some students admired Lieutenant Chen's precision. Others feared what such efficiency might mean for future conflicts. In the Academy's council chamber, senior instructors gathered to discuss the report. Professor Zolthrax's voice trembled slightly. "Humans are not just survivors. They are predators like nothing we've seen." A Marok general slammed a massive fist on the table. "If they wield such techniques in battle, we must reconsider all alliances and security protocols." Meanwhile, Lieutenant Chen returned to her quarters, unaware of the storm she'd ignited. She quietly cleaned her training gear, focused but calm. Outside, the twin suns set behind the spires of the Galactic Federation Academy, casting long shadows, portents of a future shaped by a species few truly understood. Back in the training hall, Professor Zolthrax reviewed the footage again. Every move Lieutenant Chen made seemed to defy expectations. His tentacles twitched with unease. The human's blend of instinct and strategy was unlike any species he had studied. Meanwhile, in a shadowed corner of the Academy, whispers of covert observation circulated. Some suspected Chen's training was just the beginning. A secretive envoy from the Galactic Federation's intelligence division requested immediate access to Chen's combat records. Across the galaxy, rival species listened carefully. The news of humanity's prowess spread like wildfire, unsettling old power balances. At the Academy's observation deck, Lieutenant Chen gazed at the stars. Unaware that her actions had begun to reshape galactic politics, that evening, Professor Zilthrax convened a closed council with the Academy's senior faculty. "We must reconsider our stance on humanity," he urged. "Their combat abilities defy all prior classifications." Meanwhile, Lieutenant Chen received a secure transmission from Earth Command, warning of increasing galactic tensions. Unbeknownst to her, factions within the Federation debated whether to invite humans into the governing council or to contain them. The Academy's students, from every species, now watched her with a mix of awe, fear, and respect. As the Galactic Federation prepared for a new era, Lieutenant Chen stood at the crossroads of diplomacy and war. With a final, measured breath, she prepared to demonstrate the true extent of human resilience and change the galaxy forever.